Something happened behind the scenes and your name came up. You were not in that room. You were not part of that conversation. You did not get the chance to correct the story, soften the judgment, or explain your heart. But the moment your name was spoken, the whole energy shifted. I'm looking at this card you brought in, and it has that Two of Cups feeling so strongly. Two people facing each other, holding something sacred between them. But above them there is fire, wings Baishan, and this almost divine symbol of truth rising over the connection. So this was not a casual mention. Your name came up in a group, in a conversation, maybe around people who thought they understood what happened between you and your specific person. Someone spoke too quickly, someone assumed you were the problem, someone minimized your love, or acted like you were dramatic, difficult, emotional, replaceable. And your person, the one who has been acting quiet, cold, removed, maybe even proud, suddenly could not sit there and let that version of you exist. Their face changed first. That is what I'm hearing. Before they even spoke, their body betrayed them. Their jaw tightened, their eyes moved, their energy went from detached to protective in one breath. And this is where it gets serious, because they did not defend you like someone who is over it. They defended you like someone who still remembers exactly how your love felt when it was in their hands. They may have said, "No, that's not fair." Or they were actually good to me. Or, people don't know what really happened, but the sentence that cut through the room was deeper than the words. It was the way they said it. Too fast, too sharp, too personal. Like their heart stood up before their pride could stop it. And the part you need to understand is this: they were not just defending your name. They were defending the version of you they failed to protect when they had access to you. This card shows two cups being held between two people, but neither person is fully reaching with both hands. There is love here, yes, but there is also restraint. Someone is still holding back. Someone still has words sitting behind their teeth. And after they defended you, they felt it. They realized their silence has been lying. Because if they do not care anymore, why did your name make them react like that? And this is where the Ace of Cups begins to explain why the room did not feel the same after that. Because after they reacted, after they defended you, nobody really knew what to do with the emotion that had just spilled out. This card has water pouring from the cup, overflowing, almost like something that was supposed to stay contained finally started moving. And that is exactly the feeling around your person. They were trying to keep everything neat, controlled, casual. Like your name was just another name. Like the past was just the past, but it was not. The second they corrected someone, the conversation changed shape. There may have been a pause, a little uncomfortable silence, somebody looking down, somebody shifting the subject too quickly. Because the room realized in that moment, your person was not speaking from ego, they were speaking from memory. And I feel like this was not just one person talking. This was a setting where people were comfortable giving opinions. Maybe a friend circle, maybe a family member, maybe a mutual connection, maybe even a group chat where your name was brought up casually, almost carelessly. Like people had permission to discuss your pain because they were not the ones who lived it. Someone said something with confidence they had not earned. They may have implied you were too much, too emotional, too sensitive, and too attached. They may have said your person is better off now, or that the connection was probably draining, or that you were the one who could not let go. And I'm telling you, your person heard that, and something inside them rejected it immediately, because they know. They know you were not just emotional for no reason. They know there were moments you were asking for care, clarity, honesty, basic tenderness. They know there were times you were reacting to being confused, neglected, dismissed, or kept in the dark. And that is why their defense came out with heat in it, not rage, heat, the kind that comes from a cup that has been sitting too close to a heart still burning. And what makes this so emotional is that they may not be giving you that same softness directly. They may still be silent with you. They may still be acting like reaching out would cost them too much. But in front of other people, when your name was handled carelessly, they suddenly remembered that your love was not something to be mocked, reduced, or misunderstood. But then one specific comment was made, and that comment pushed them past the point of pretending. And I feel like that comment carried the exact kind of finality this death card is bringing into the reading. It made it sound like you were easy to leave behind. That is what triggered this death card. Not death as an ending only, but death as the moment a false version of the story could not keep breathing. Somebody may have said they'll get over it, or they were probably just attached, or you made the right choice walking away. Something about it landed wrong. It made your person look at the conversation and realize people were speaking about you like you were just a chapter they closed, not a human being they wounded, and that is when their tone changed. They may have tried to keep it calm. I do feel that. They did not want to look exposed. They did not want everyone in that room or in that chat to suddenly understand how much your name still lives under their skin. But the death card here is showing a mask dropping, a clean break between what they pretend and what they know. They may have said, "No, that's not what happened." And someone probably looked up, because your person was not supposed to say that. They may have said, "They didn't deserve that," or "They were better to me than people know," or even, "That's not who they are." And I want you to notice the energy of those words. They are not soft little corrections. They are not casual. Those are words that carry a grave behind them, a buried truth, something they have been trying not to visit. Because when they defended you, they were also admitting that the version people have been passing around is not the version they lived with. They know your softness. They know your patience. They know how many times you tried to understand them before you finally became hurt by them. And I feel like the room could feel that there was history underneath what they said. This was not your person defending a random ex just to be polite. This was your person guarding the place where the connection used to be alive. Even if they act like it is over. Even if they act like the door is closed. Even if they tell themselves the old version of this connection is dead. Something in them still stood at the doorway. And what shocked people was not only the sentence. It was how fast it came out. That speed matters because the Queen of Cups is showing me what was sitting underneath all that control. Because speed tells on people. A person can plan their silence. They can plan their distance. They can plan the image they want other people to see. But they cannot always plan the first thing that leaves their mouth when something touches the part of them they keep hidden. And this Queen of Cups is showing me that the part they keep hidden is still full of feeling. Not loud feeling. Not feeling they know how to explain. This is the kind of emotion that sits under the surface, looking calm from far away, but moving constantly underneath. Your person may have learned how to appear composed. They may joke when something gets too serious. They may go quiet when vulnerability enters the room. They may act like they are unaffected because being affected would mean having to admit how deeply this connection entered them. But when your name came up, that emotional control slipped, just for a moment. And I feel like someone saw it. This Queen of Cups on the card is holding that cup so carefully, almost like she knows one wrong movement could make everything spill. That is the energy around your person. They have been holding back a lot more than they have admitted. Holding back memories, holding back guilt, holding back the instinct to check on you, holding back the softer sentence they wish they could say without losing their pride. And that is why their defense was not performative. It came from somewhere too immediate to be rehearsed. If they were trying to look good, they would have chosen cleaner words, safer words, words that made them sound mature but not emotionally involved. But this came out raw. This came out before they could polish it. This came out because someone touched your name with careless hands and your person reacted like they still felt responsible for what happened to you. That is the part that keeps coming through, responsible. Even if they do not say it directly. Even if they avoid the word apology. Even if they still hide behind distance, timing, confusion, or whatever reason they give themselves for not coming forward. They know something about your heart was mishandled. And I feel like in that room, they realized something uncomfortable. They were protecting your name now because they did not protect your heart then. They were correcting other people because they failed to correct themselves. They were stopping a false story because they once allowed you to sit inside uncertainty for too long. And that guilt did not leave when the conversation ended. It followed them out. But with this Knight of Swords, I do not feel that guilt walking out quietly. It followed them out because this Knight of Swords is not quiet energy. This is the part of them that moved before they had time to think, before they could measure the room, before they could decide whether defending you would make them look too invested. This is the part that rushed forward with the truth, sword drawn, because something about that comment felt wrong in their body. And I need you to hear this carefully. Your person may still be very proud. They may still be stubborn. They may still be acting like silence is safer than accountability. They may still be convincing themselves that if they stay away long enough, the feeling will settle, the guilt will fade, the memory of you will become easier to manage. But that moment proved something. Their pride is not stronger than their instinct to protect you. At least not when other people are speaking on your name. This Knight of Swords shows someone who reacts fast, sometimes too fast, because the truth has pressure behind it. And that is what happened. They did not sit there and lovingly prepare a speech. They did not ask themselves, how will this look? They just cut in. They just corrected it. They just went straight toward the false thing and challenged it. And yes, there is regret underneath that. Because once the words were out, they could not take them back. Once they defended you, they exposed a loyalty they have been trying to hide. A loyalty that showed up late. A loyalty that should have shown up when you were still standing in front of them. Asking to be understood. That is the painful part. Their love was mixed with fear. Their care was mixed with cowardice. Their protection came after the damage, not before it. And I feel like they know that. They know it in the way they went quiet after speaking. They know it in the way they probably replayed the conversation later, asking themselves why they reacted so strongly. They know it in the way one sentence from somebody else managed to pull out a truth they have been refusing to say directly to you. Because defending you behind your back was easier than facing you with open eyes. It let them be brave for 10 seconds without having to be accountable for the whole story. But someone noticed, someone in that room, or on that thread, felt the shift. They heard the speed in your person's voice. They saw how quickly the sword came out. And they realized your person is not over you. And once that was noticed, the King of Swords shows your person trying to recover their composure, and that realization made the air feel different around them. Because this King of Swords is controlled energy. This is someone trying to sit upright inside a storm. Someone trying to make their voice sound even, their face unreadable, their answers short. But the people around them were not blind. They saw the sword. They heard the edge. They felt that your person did not defend you from a place of casual fairness. They defended you from a place of attachment, and I feel like someone may have tested them after that. Maybe not directly. Maybe in that half-joking way people use when they want to see if something is true. Someone may have said, "You still care, don't you?" Or, "That sounded personal." Or even just looked at them a little too long. And your person probably shut it down quickly. "No, I'm just saying." That kind of energy. Like they were trying to put the lid back on the truth after everyone already saw it spill. But this King of Swords is also showing me what happened later, when they were alone. Because once they got away from the room, away from the group, away from the eyes that noticed too much, they tried to analyze their own reaction. They tried to turn emotion into logic. They tried to explain it away. Maybe they told themselves they only defended you because the statement was unfair. Maybe they told themselves it did not mean anything. Maybe they told themselves they would have done that for anyone. But then their hand reached for the phone. And this is the part that feels quiet, almost hidden. Looking at your page, checking whether your energy has changed, seeing if you posted something, seeing if your name appears somewhere through mutual people, rereading an old message, not because they planned to respond, but because they wanted to remember your voice without admitting they missed it. They may have asked about you indirectly, not, "Do they miss me?" More like, "Have you heard from them lately?" Trying to sound neutral, trying to sound like the King of Swords, but underneath that controlled question is a person who already revealed themselves when they defended you too fast. And what makes this more intense is that they are not only wondering whether you still care, they are wondering whether you still care in the same way. Because something about your energy feels different now. And that is what scares them the most. And that difference is where the Eight of Swords comes in, because it shows the version of you they thought would still be there. Because this Eight of Swords is showing me the version of you they expected to find. They expected you to still be standing in the same mental prison, still wondering what you did wrong, still trying to untangle every mixed signal, still waiting for one message, one apology, one explanation, one clear sentence that would finally let your nervous system rest. They expected your heart to still be facing the door, but something has shifted. And I do not feel this as revenge. I do not feel you becoming cold just to punish them. I feel you becoming sober, emotionally sober. Like the blindfold came off slowly, not all at once. Like you stopped asking, why don't they understand me, and started asking, why did I keep handing my peace to someone who made me prove my pain? That is a very different energy. And your person can feel it. Maybe they cannot name it. Maybe all they know is that when they look for you, when they check for you, when they try to sense whether you are still energetically turned toward them, something does not feel as available. You are not spilling yourself out the same way. You are not running toward misunderstanding with explanations in both hands. You are not trying to make a courtroom out of your own heart anymore. This Eight of Swords is important because it shows restriction, but it also shows the truth that the restriction was never the whole story. There are swords around her. Yes, there is a blindfold. Yes, there are ties. Yes, but there is also space. There's also a way out. And I feel like that is what you have been finding quietly. Space. A way out. A way back to yourself. The old version of you may have begged to be seen correctly. The old version of you may have over-explained because silence felt dangerous. The old version of you may have thought, if I can just make them understand how much they hurt me, maybe they will care differently. But the new version of you is learning that truth does not need to chase a witness. And that is why their defense behind the scenes hit them so hard, because they defended you. But you were not there waiting to be defended. You were not standing in the room asking them to choose your side. You were absent and still. The truth found its way into their mouth. But now they are confused, because defending your name did not fix what they broke. And that confusion turns into the Five of Swords, because now they are facing the cost of winning the wrong thing. Because this Five of Swords is showing me the part they cannot talk their way out of. There is a strange victory in this card, but it does not feel good. It feels like someone won the argument and still lost the person. Someone got the last word, kept their pride, walked away looking untouched. But when the light started fading, they realized the silence they created was not peace. It was absence. And I feel like that is where your person is now. They may have defended you in that room. Yes, they may have corrected the story. They may have stood there with that sword in their hand and made it clear that people did not get to speak about you like they knew everything. But when the conversation ended, they were still left with the truth that defending you behind the scenes did not bring you closer. It did not send the message. It did not repair the moment they made you feel alone. It did not undo the way they may have let pride win when love needed honesty. And now they do not know what to do with that. This Five of Swords feels like mental conflict. One part of them wants to reach out. One part wants to stay quiet and pretend the defense was enough. One part wants to ask about you through somebody else. One part wants to send something small, something safe, something that does not fully expose them. Maybe a reaction, maybe a casual message, maybe, hope you're good, something that gives them relief without requiring them to say, I know I hurt you, but your energy is different now. That is the problem for them. Before, they may have believed they could step back in with a few careful words and you would meet them with open hands. But now, there is a boundary around you. Not loud, not angry, just real. And that makes every option feel risky. Because what if they message and you do not respond the way you used to? What if they apologize halfway and you hear the missing half? What if they try to act casual and your silence makes them feel the full weight of what they avoided? This is why they are spinning. They want contact without vulnerability. They want forgiveness without fully naming the wound. They want to know if the door is open without having to knock in a way that humbles them. But silence is not neutral anymore. And something is pushing them toward a moment where they have to choose whether they are going to keep protecting their pride or finally face the truth of what they lost. And that choice is exactly why the Lovers appears here. Because this card is not only about love. And what they lost is becoming clearer because this Lovers card is not only showing love, it is showing a choice. That is the part your person cannot escape now. Because the connection between you was not some random passing feeling. It had weight. It had a pull. It had that kind of emotional mirror where both people can see parts of themselves they normally avoid. And when your name came up, it brought that mirror back into the room. They had to look at themselves, not just at you, not just at what people were saying about you, at themselves. Because the Lovers is showing me that somewhere along the way, your person had a choice between honesty and avoidance, between protecting the connection and protecting their image, between facing the uncomfortable conversation and letting you carry the confusion alone. And for a while, they chose pride. They may not call it that. They may call it timing. They may call it fear. They may call it not knowing what to say. They may call it needing space. But under all of those words, there is still a choice that was made. And now, after defending you, that choice looks different to them. It looks heavier, because being protective in public does not erase being absent in private. And I want to be fair here. Their defense did matter. It showed that they know the truth. It showed that some part of them will not let people reduce you to a rumor, a mistake, a problem, or a story they can laugh about. That matters. Your heart deserved that dignity. But it is not the same as repair. It is not the same as sitting across from you and saying, "I understand now." It is not the same as naming the wound. It is not the same as changed behavior. And that is the emotional reckoning around them. The Lovers card has two people standing under something larger than both of them. And that is how this feels. The connection is larger than the excuses now. The truth is larger than the silence. The choice is larger than their comfort. They may have defended you when you were not there. But now the question becomes, can they honor you when you are? Can they speak with that same courage when there is no audience, no group, no careless comment to react against? Just your heart and the truth between you. Because the final reveal is not that they defended you. It is why your name still brings light into the part of them they tried to close. And that light leads us into the Ten of Pentacles, because this is where the reading becomes less about a reaction and more about what your love represented. And this Ten of Pentacles is showing me what that light is connected to. It is not just attraction. It is not just nostalgia. It is not just missing the way you loved them when everything was soft. This is the card of what could have been built, the home feeling, the safety, the life people imagine when they stop playing games with their own heart. And I feel like when your name came up, your person did not only remember the conflict, they remembered the warmth around you, the way you made something feel possible, the way your presence carried a kind of emotional shelter they may not have appreciated until they were standing outside of it. That is why they defended you. Because somewhere in them, they know your love was not cheap. It was not something to be thrown into a conversation like gossip. It was not something to be reduced to, "They were too much," or "that connection was messy," or "you're better off." No, this Ten of Pentacles says there was value there. There was depth there. There was something real enough that even after distance, silence, pride, and separation, your name still landed in the room with weight. And you did not have to be there for that truth to be felt. That is quiet justice. You did not have to argue. You did not have to defend your character. You did not have to send a paragraph, reopen the wound, or convince anyone that your love was sincere. Your name came up, and something in them knew the room was getting it wrong. So the truth stood up, through them. Even if they are still imperfect, even if they still have not done the brave thing directly, even if their defense was beautiful but incomplete. Because I do want you to hold both truths. Yes, they defended you like someone who still loves you. Yes, their reaction exposed guilt, protection, and regret. But no, you are not required to run back toward someone just because they finally told the truth in a room where you could not hear it. Let that part settle. You can receive the validation without handing back your power. You can know they cared without forgetting what hurt. You can understand that they protected your name without pretending they already repaired your heart. And maybe that is the real message of this reading. Your love left a mark deeper than they admitted. Your absence taught the room what your presence once carried, and the version of you they tried to let go of is still glowing somewhere inside their memory, behind the pride, behind the silence, behind the sentence they said too fast. Your heart was protected, even when you were not in the room. Your name came up, and the truth stood up quietly, holding the door open just long enough for you to walk away in peace.